CQ 341. This is the coffee Q&A. We do coffee questions and answers most Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern. How's it going? Had a little bit of trouble trying to figure out the settings this morning on the stream. So we're in Columbia, Maryland, and I'm on the way now to an area of this area, a place in this area called Maple Lawn, because I heard about this place, this cafe that does Ethiopian coffee. So I thought, let's go and see what this Ethiopian cafe is all about. Mom, how are you? Good morning. Maku, good morning to you. How's it going? Good to see all of you. So we're in the car. It is pretty cold. It's not as cold as it's been the last few days. It is like maybe 19, 20, maybe it's like 22 degrees by now, which is still below freezing, but you know, better than the 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that we were having recently. Naomi, good morning to you as well. So we're on the road rolling. Now Maple Lawn from where I am is just a couple of minutes away, I think. It's not too far away. And the reason I was kind of curious, we talked about Ethiopian coffee before, and from the pictures that I saw online, they have this big Ethiopian coffee pot attached to the side of the building. So we're gonna go hunt that down now. Kent, good morning as well. Nobody says the cafe sounds familiar. What's it called? You know what? I can't remember now. Now that we're starting the stream, I cannot remember the name of the cafe. But it's in Maple Lawn. It's right off of the main drag there. It looks like it's in. And here's the thing. I looked it up on Google Maps, and I meant to look at it earlier this morning to like really memorize how to get there, because now I can't look at the maps, because we're live streaming. So it's like, oh, now I have to. So right now I'm strictly utilizing the powers of the Force to guide me to this cafe. So that should be quite interesting. Tucson Bubba, what's going on, Tucson? How is life there, man? How's it going? Maybe it is called Sidamo. I mean, there's only one Ethiopian cafe in that I've seen anywhere around here, right? So if you're familiar, if it is called Sidamo, then that has to be it. Evidently, what I noticed is that this is the local area branch of, I guess their main cafe is in Washington, D.C. And if you're not too familiar, Washington, D.C. has a very large Ethiopian population. Like every time I go down there, I'm always like, wow, there's a lot of Ethiopians here. And you can always, if you've been to Ethiopia and you know Ethiopians, you kind of notice that, Ethiopians have a rather distinctive look to them, right? That is different than other African nations. And actually, if you go to Africa quite a bit, you start to realize that, you know what? People from different regions of Africa have different features. So it's just kind of interesting. So every time I'm in DC, like I'm always like, wow, there's a lot of Ethiopians here. And so there's a lot of Ethiopian restaurants there, cafes and stuff like that. And so I thought, let's go check this place out and see what happens. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So how are you all doing? How's your coffee this morning? What are you guys having for coffee? I have not had any coffee. I've not eaten anything yet today. So this will be the first. And we're going to try to do this on a budget. I got $10 and hopefully that'll be enough. I have $10 in cash. That's what I have. That's what I have in my pocket. Naomi said, if it is, I had coffee there once before. I really got into coffee, so I don't remember. I went to the physical therapy over there, and there's also another cafe next to it too. Oh, okay, great. We'll get to see what else is out here. Save that for another trip. Yeah, so it looks to me, from what the pictures that I saw, it looks like this place is very much about So it looks like, I'm presuming it's Ethiopian owned. They had a picture on Google Maps. They have a picture of a roaster in their cafe. So I'm presuming they're roasting their own coffee in the cafe. Now, I don't know to what length that they're bringing their own coffee in, or do they actually have relatives that they're buying coffee from and shipping it here to America, or are they buying from other importers of Ethiopian coffee? I don't know that, but I mean, I think it'd be interesting to go check it out. Like, I went to another Ethiopian cafe that's in Baltimore City called Abi. I don't know what it's called, but I went there back in the winter time, back when I was still planning how I was going to do the new cafe. And I had a very nice coffee there, very nicely done. So I'm hoping that this place will be as good. Peter says $10. Oh, $10 buys a lot in Asia. Yeah, you don't buy nothing in here. You don't buy much in America. My friends here don't like it when I say this, but I tell them, man, it's expensive to live in America. All right, I think I've taken the wrong exit. I think I have gone too early. Yes, I think so. But let's see. I'm at the Applied Physics Laboratory of Johns Hopkins. Where they make all the nuclear vessels. Yeah, I think I should have turned left at the other spot. I think. Oh, we'll see. I don't. Oh no, looks like there's some development over there. So there's if you take one road or one exit to come here, there's this whole developed part that has all these shops and retail and housing. But I guess if you take the other one, you get to the Applied Physics Labs. But I think there's a way. Oh, there, Maple Lawn Boulevard. We can turn left here. Tucson Bubba says, I'm slurping a Chinese coffee. Oh, interesting. Roasted about 2 weeks ago. It's pretty good stuff. Oh, yeah. There is some nice coffee in China. Peter also had some Yunnan coffees from China, and not bad. Yeah, they're not bad. Like, one of my good friends is one of the owners of a place called Torch Coffee, and he lives in Yunnan. He's always like, dude, you need to come visit and hang out with me. I'm like, I do. I really do. So I would like to make it out that way eventually. That's the problem, for me. It's like, I live in America on the East Coast. So to go to Asia is such a long journey, right? It's like, you can't go any further away, right? You have to go to the other side of the planet. You go any further, you're coming home. So the problem that I have is that, it's such a monumental task to go there. But if you only have 2 weeks, it's like, how do you get to do everything you want? I need to hit, like, the next time I go, I would like to hit Tokyo. And I never seem to get out of Tokyo. I need to go visit my friend in Seoul. I would love to go visit Yunnan, go back to Thailand, and still go see family and friends in the Philippines. So how do you do all that? And you just can't. It's so difficult. Okay, so now we're in this Maple Lawn district. So as you can see here, it is it's a suburban planned community. Very, very nice. It's very nice if you like this kind of thing. Maybe Scandinavian-ish in kind of feel. They have those big, long buildings in Scandinavia, or at least in Copenhagen. One thing I do must say about Copenhagen, man, is that, those guys, they live well. Like, one of my good friends out there, Michael Renoir, he's like, he invited us to his house one day. He's got this, like, condo, flat, whatever you want to call it. And we went there, and it's sparsely decorated, but it's well appointed. Like, the furniture is really well done. The sound system is really well. Like he's got Bang & Olufsen sound system, beautiful furniture, Cuban cigars. He has a La Marzocco GS3. You're like, dude, you guys pay a lot in taxes. You got a lot of socialism, you know, but you live well. Like you live. It's wildly expensive. Like consumer goods are wildly expensive, but they live well. You're just like, how do we live like this? Okay, here it is. You're right, Naomi. It is called Sidamo. You can kind of see it here on the right. The Buna. Was it called the Buna? There it is. Sidamo Coffee and Tea. You can see the little thing that's on the side of the building. So we're gonna go there. Oh, it looks kind of busy. But it's in this shopping center, so very, very, very like suburban shopping center. Oh, Tucson says that the Yunnan is the exact coffee that he has as well. All right, awesome. Devin, how are you, man? Good to see you. Naomi says if you go further up, you'll see the other cafe. If it's still there, they sell cakes too. Oh, nice. I have to go in. There was no way to enter from that side that we drove by, and I've actually never been to this part of Maple Lawn. I came here once with some friends. Oh, there it is, Decadent, a coffee and dessert bar. That's the one you're talking about. Okay, I came here once because my friends wanted to go to a country bar, and do line dancing. I don't know what I was doing there. I was like, what am I doing here? I'm a line dancing fool. That's what I am. Like line dancing. And, oh, there it is. We went to Looney's Pub. I have been here. Is that right? We went to Looney. I don't remember where we went. Naomi also says that I've had H99 latte this morning. Oh, nice. How was it? Then DAC Milky Cake Black. Making Big Ziti crumb. Oh, nice. Big Ziti. That sounds... Oh. Wow, there's like no parking here. Okay, parking's over there. Oh, here is the owner reloading. All right, we're here now. Here. Oh, the latte is so yummy. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, we're here. Sidamo Coffee and Tea. Oh, it's busy on the inside. Like, I don't know if you can see that from here, but through the bay windows, it's rather busy. And I guess this is the owner or somebody that's restocking. I'm going to ask her what the name. Excuse me. What is the name of the traditional brewer?
Sidamo coffee?
No. The on the side of the building.
Oh.
The pot. What is that called?
The pot?
Yeah.
Jabana.
Thank you. And then is there
traditional coffee?
Yes. Yeah. And then is there a separate name for the piece that goes on top?
No.
And or the ring?
All together.
Oh, Jabana. Nice. And how much coffee do you put in a Jabana?
Coffee? This is big, no. This is for advertisement.
No, but I mean, when you're making traditional coffee in the Jabana, how much do you actually put?
12 ounces.
12 ounces?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
12 ounce coffee, then it's too much. You know the pot?
Yes.
Small to drink.
Yes. The little cups.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. With
That's
the popcorn.
Maybe 20.
Okay, very good. All right. Thank you.
I think so.
All right. Very nice. So we're going to go inside and see what they offer here. Yeah, so this is the place, Sidamo Coffee and Tea. I hope you can see that. Can you see that? Okay, Sidamo Coffee and Tea. There's the Jabana. So the Jabana, you put the coffee inside the Jabana, right? And you put water to it, and then you put that on like a fire or a flame source, and it boils. But I don't know how long they let it boil for. And then once you're finished, you kind of let it settle for a moment before you pour it into these little tiny, these cups, and that's it. And so here, let's go inside. Let's go inside here. We're gonna go in and see what coffees they have packed. So we got coffee, latte, cappuccino, ole, Sidamo macchiato. Oh, what is that? So they have their own coffee, or they have their own tea. Oh, they have tea, and then there is, if you can Yoga Chef, Guji, Yoga Chef, Yoga Chef and Guji. But as you can see here, it says 8th Street, Washington D.C. Right, so it was. They do have another shop in D.C.
It was more so because they get tired by the end of the kids. And most get tired doing full-time paper. And you're talking about 2 or 3 hours is going to make them tired.
So are we talking starting at 8:30?
Yeah.
Starting at 9.
And I said, that doesn't work for the school.
It doesn't work for full.
So the Ethiopian coffee they have available right now is Yoga Chefe, Sidamo, Harar, and Guji. So different regions. Typically, like let's say the Yoga Chefe and the Sidamo would most likely be washed style coffees, where Harar and I think Guji are typically more natural processed coffees.
That's so I'm home by lunch. I like already taught my entire high school day. I'm home.
Yeah, for us, we don't have to go out to 8 has to start at 5.
My kids are home at 4. What are you guys doing? What's the next one? Are you guys doing anything? I wish I could.
A red velvet muffin for you.
Yeah, I really like this lead a lot.
Yeah. Velvet
I
cupcake?
don't like when they play the games. That's my one problem. I really like it.
What they have
It's good for
pastry-wise.
beginners who don't know.
Perfect. But we're doing soccer.
Cake chocolate cherry, blueberry crumb, the blueberry crumb. That seems like what I would like to have, the blueberry crumb. Charles, how are you, man? Do they offer coffee board? I don't believe so. It doesn't look like they do. I don't see any jabinas hanging out anywhere here. I mean, one of the problems with the jabina is that it's to do it properly, like as the tea ceremony, and it's really part of the whole tea ceremony. It takes a lot. I mean, it's a commitment. Like you need to sit down and do it up, and it takes a little while. So, and there's a whole process behind it. So, in order to do it correctly, you would have to. It just wouldn't be feasible in the manner, in a cafe service. It'd be much more difficult. Like you would have to have a separate sit-down session. Kind of like cafes will do tastings, it'd be like something like that, a whole separate setup.
So you have to start clearing this on.
She's like,
You want some back with that?
Yes.
I just want to know, is Jen, do the teachers not want to know it? Like, is Jen standing up there?
There's some jabinas in there. I'll show you that in a minute before we get our coffee before we leave. Hello.
Yes.
What? I would like to try some Ethiopian coffee.
Okay, what size you would like?
What's that?
What size?
What size? I'm sorry. What size?
Small, medium, large.
Medium. And how about this blueberry? Yes. To go, please.
1006.
How much?
1006.
10:06. Ooh, 10:06. Just got enough. Put the cash. $3.25. $3.25 for the coffee. $6 for that. Thank you. What kind of Ethiopian coffee is it? Oh, but I mean, where's it from? I mean, what region?
Sidamo.
Oh. Hi. Oh, that's you guys. Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty busy. It's a suburban coffee shop, so it's going to be rather busy, I guess. All right.
Cream, there's a cream there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Do I need cream? No, I don't need cream. Okay, so we got our coffee. And let's go. We have some jabenas over here. So. All right, so look at this. These are traditional jabenas, right? So the jabena, like I said, they'll grind the coffee and they'll put the water in there. And so you could use the pot to heat water first, and then you're going to grind it. And so you can use like a grinder. Sometimes they will use mortar and pestle to do that. And then they'll also burn the myrrh, the incense, and this. And then you put this over like a fire, right? And then you boil it for a few minutes so that the coffee and water will steep. Now this is the typical style of coffee that they're using for it. Like this would be, if you notice here, this coffee it's kind of old. I mean, it's kind of sticking together because this is just display coffee, but it's sticking together because the oils are kind of like sticky. But you can see how there is a lot of like lighter colored beans. That's because of the well, I don't know if that's that's not because I was gonna say, well, in this case this is still kind of raw. This one is a little bit burned, right? But a lot of times when you see natural processed coffees, you'll see a bit of variation between the way they're roasted, between the coloration, and a lot of times that difference will be because of the density of the beans. So that one of the things about processing coffee is that coffees as they're growing will have different densities, and the less dense coffees will not roast the same way. They will not take heat in the same way, so your results will be very different. So a lot of times, in order to get around that, you will sort those out, and either sometimes you do mechanical sorting, sometimes you do hand sorting, and then a lot of times you'll float the coffee. So especially in regions where you have a lot of water, and this is probably why you find a lot of like naturals in Ethiopia that has these kind of aberrations, because they don't have a lot of water. So again, one of the things you can do is you can take the cherries and put them in a water vat, and then whatever floats to the top you get rid of, because those don't have the right density. But with natural processed coffees in Ethiopia, they have a lot of water to do that kind of sorting. So you'll get variations in the way that the coffee roasts because of that density. Now you can run these things, the green beans, through a gravity sorter that will, try to find as much of the lighter weighted beans and remove them. So you grind this up, put that into the jabena, and these are different sizes of jabena, right? So this is a much smaller one. That is, for you can I guess you can do by hand. There's a little cover here to keep the heat in. There's an older style. This is a metal style of jabena, right? And then you always have a little ring so that after you've heated it on the fire, you'll put it on the ring and just kind of let it sit to cool down. and then you'll eventually pour the coffee for your guests or for whoever you're serving. And that's kind of how the Jabena works. And I'm glad we ran into it because I couldn't remember the name of the brewer. All right, let's go out and try the coffees. Cute place. But nice that they had some displays of their stuff. All right, walking back out. It's kind of cold. It's nice in there. It's nice. It's very, it's a very like typical, like coffee, like suburban type of coffee shop. Honestly, I would like a little more enthusiasm from the barista, but it's just how it is. Yeah, it's a little bit warmer today. It's not so bad. Not so bad. Oh, sorry. Peter says US $10 for a coffee. Yeah, well, I mean, the coffee itself, this 16-ounce medium coffee, the retail, the MSRP is $3.25. So not bad. Not bad. That's fine. But this that $3.25 with this blueberry crumb thing, which I kind of thought that I had to have. The whole like natural processed coffees and blueberry flavoring. The total for the two of them was $6.25. Was $10.01. So I was like, holy. But you know what? I mean, I get we have to expect that now. I mean, this is America. America's not a cheap country to live in. And let me just get set up here. Yeah, I paid the definitely this cake was definitely much more than like twice the price of the coffee. So considerable amount. Let me restart the vehicle here. Okay. Gravity store. I mean, yeah, it's not. You've never heard of it. That's not unusual. I mean, it's one of those. I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. I really mean that more like if you're not in the business of production of coffee, like most people never would have heard. I mean, I can't imagine how anyone would have heard that. I think about when I'm in motion picture production, right? Like we'll talk about things that to us are very common. But if I said that to somebody else, you'd be like, well, I don't know. I never heard that. So yeah, of course. Why? I understand. Understandable because how unless you're in the midst of it all, there would be no reason. I mean, it'd be unusual to hear that. Okay, so here is the coffee. Then it says the organic grocery store I go to roast their own beans, but they sell a bag Tilted Witch's Brew. It's a mix of light, medium, and dark roasted beans. Will this make for difficult? I mean, maybe as an espresso because you're going to have like different, not necessarily densities, but different roast profiles. So that could be a little bit problematic. And for pour over type brewing or this regular type of brewing, I don't think that's much of an issue because it's not so critical. You may have some issues in espresso, which could be mitigated depending on how homogenized the mix is. But I don't think it'll be too bad. I don't think. Let's see this $6. We will. Okay, so here's our coffee. She said this is Sidamo. I honestly, my honest opinion is I don't know if she even knows if it's Sidamo or not. There are 4 different coffees that are on their menu. Is that to say that she doesn't know? I mean, I don't know. But I just kind of had that feeling when she was like, Sidamo. I was like, okay. Okay, so let's have a look. When we're looking here, we're going to smell. It does smell a little bit heavily roasted. Definitely a little bit heavier roasted. A lot of bitterness. Yeah, a lot of bitterness, not so much of the nuance that you might think that would be in a coffee from Sidamo. I can see you now why she asked me if I wanted to, or she said that if you want cream, it's over there. It's like, this is a roast profile, this is a roast degree that is heavy enough that you might consider a little bit of cream just to offset the bitterness from the roast. Paige says it's especially not cheap in the DM. Oh yeah, definitely not. That's why when I said earlier, I got $10. I'm like, will $10 be enough? I don't think $10 is gonna be enough. That's why. But then and I saw the 325, so I was like, okay, that's not bad. That's why when she said 1001, I was like, 1001. Holy moly. Kent says I bought a natural Ethiopian recently where like 40% of the beans were either yellow or brown. Wow, really? I wonder where'd you get that one from? That I'm presuming that's not from Tim. If it was, I would totally. I'd totally call Tim and be like, dude, I would actually ask you to send me a picture so that I could send it to Tim and make fun of him. Peter says, that's a large coffee where I come from. Yeah, well, this is America. This is our media. And I don't know why I said, I said medium because I thought this might be kind of big. And I was like, if I really like this and I like this, then maybe I might actually drink the entire 12 ounce. This is a little bit on the bitter side, a little bit heavier. Not too heavy. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we're drinking Folgers here. Like, it's not that bad. Or Starbucks. It's not that bad. But it is definitely on the roastier side. So you're getting a little bit of that roasty bitterness coming through. So here's our blueberry something. What did they call this? Blueberry. But I think it looked fairly nice. I mean, it looked kind of homemade. I don't know. It kind of had this look of maybe homemade, but also maybe commercially made. Maybe they go to a commercial baker and they bring it in. The other stuff looked kind of in that range. But a little powdered sugar on top here. You can see the blueberries inside. I'm a big blueberry fan. Like, I love blueberries. When I was a child, my aunt, who lives in Boston, whenever she would come to visit Baltimore, there used to be a big department store in Boston called Jordan Marsh, and Jordan Marsh had a bakery, and Jordan Marsh's bakery was known for their blueberry muffins and blueberry pie. Like the Jordan Marsh blueberry muffins, in my mind, are the true gold standard of muffins in the world. Like, you may think you've had amazing muffins, but if you've never had the Jordan Marsh muffins, you don't know blueberry muffins. You just don't know. I've tried lots of blueberry muffins. And I was like, we can't. And so when we started doing blueberry muffins, or when I started thinking about doing blueberry muffins at Spro, now Jordan Marsh closed many, many years and years ago. But the taste and the experience of that blueberry muffin is burned into my soul. It's burned into my soul, not into my mind, but into my soul, right? And so I started researching Jordan Marsh blueberry muffin recipes, and I was like, if we're gonna bring blueberry muffins to Spro, we're gonna make it in house, and we're gonna make it as best as we possibly can. Like, I don't even want to serve it if it's just rubbish, right? So I was able to find a recipe. We were able to duplicate it. And if it's not the same, it's super, super close. Like, it's got all the right, like, the way that it bakes, it got this crustiness that's all kind of craggly a little bit with you're putting on the big sugar on top, and it's got the blueberries are suspended in the mix. It's moist, and oh God, it's so when I was thinking about a year ago, I mentioned earlier that I went to Ethiopian Cafe in Baltimore. I was driving down one of the streets, and I saw this Ethiopian cafe, and I was like, I've never been there. Let me stop in. So I stopped in, and this is back when I was thinking, we're going to do $5 coffee and pastry, and I had already kind of figured out, okay, we can do for $5, we can do a 12-ounce black coffee and a pastry, and I had been trying all these pastry bakeries that would fit the price point. And it's nowhere near the quality of the level of execution that I really like, that I would prefer for myself. But I was thinking, okay, it's expensive, right? And life is expensive. Now we want to get something that's going to be accessible for a wide range of people. So $5. Then we made it $6 so we could get a little more leeway. Well, and I was kind of like okay with the idea of serving like Costco level donuts, blueberry muffins. So I went to this Ethiopian cafe and I ordered a yogurt cafe. And this cafe, they roast their own. Very nicely roasted, very nice 12-ounce cup of coffee. And they had a blueberry muffin, the type that you'd get like at Costco or Sam's Club, that level. And I got it, and I got them together. Now this is a combination I'd somewhat had before. I've drank our House Nation coffee with those type of pastries. And I was like, okay, it's okay compromise. I'm willing to compromise. Then I sat down in this cafe and had this same setup at a definitely higher price point. And it was in that moment of eating that muffin with that coffee, quite a nice coffee, that I was like, I just can't. Like, it's so incongruent that it just doesn't. It just doesn't make sense. Like it's not commensurate. Like the quality levels are so disparate. I'm just like, I can't. And then because my friends had been like, why don't you just buy the stuff you want to buy the stuff you think is great. Make the stuff you think is great and then sell it at the appropriate price. But I was like, then it's going to be expensive. Then it's going to be $10. But I was like, okay, now we have to go that route. So it was at an Ethiopian cafe. That was the death of the $6 coffee and pastry. Yeah, that's it's only 16 ounces. It's only 16 ounces. That's not, I mean, it's big, but it's not unusual for a medium coffee, I would say. Naomi says the fat and sugar in the treat will offset the bitter in the coffee. That's why I don't really get that stuff. So I totally hear you on that. Okay, let's try it. So this particular slice has probably been sitting since yesterday, at the very least. That first little corner piece that I bit into, pretty dry on those outer edges. So it's been sitting for a little bit. The flavor is nice, a little bit sweet. Definitely was sliced a few days ago. Paige says, to be fair, $10 in a coffee shop these days only goes so far. I totally understand. I totally hear you. And for me, it's like I wanted to get something that I would like to have. Like I looked at the stuff, and they have quite a nice selection. They've got a wide selection. Mostly a lot of it looks commercial produced, right? Like if you went to Soft Stuff Bakery or something like that and had them make your pastries, which is there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's probably the route that I will go next. But it kind of has that industrial kind of look to it. But it's not bad. It's not bad. It's pleasant. And Naomi's right. The pleasantness and the sweetness of this blueberry cake kind of thing has offset the bitterness of the coffee, which is what we would like to have. That's kind of what you want to have. You want to have that juxtaposition. You want to have that nice balance to things. Ken says, I got it from a small Norwegian. No, we don't need to name them. I just want to to stick it to Tim if there's any way possible. Because you know what? He's such a good operator. He's such a good operator. Like, I was listening to a podcast on the way out here. A guy by the name of Tom Buck on YouTube. He has a podcast called The Enthusiasm Project. If you're interested in like YouTube productions, things like that, he's actually a really great creator for that kind of stuff. But in his episode, he was touching on a topic that I always found to be very dear to myself. And he was saying that he likes to be around people that are better than him because it helps to push him. And I totally agree. Like, I like to know and be surrounded, or be, you know, to get to know and be surrounded by people that are much better than me at what I do. I would think that I would consider Tim Wendelwood to be a better coffee person than myself. Like, he's always able to maintain excellence at all times, and I'm always impressed. He's an old friend, and I'm always impressed, and always much respect for that guy. But we have a good friendship, so I can, like, you know, joke with him and make fun of him if I really have to. And he does the same, so it's I don't know what I offer him, because you know, and Naomi says a lot of these cafes partner, and you know, you have to, because it's like, I've run operations where you had your own in-house bakery, and I don't know if I would ever recommend that. Like, you've got to be a special kind of crazy to take that on. And I think that I'm just crazy. I don't know if I'm special, but special needs probably. But my whole thing is that I like to have I want things to be executed a certain way, which makes things exponentially more difficult, because it's like, oh, we want to have baked goods. Well, we don't want to partner with someone. We don't want to bring it in. We want to make it in-house and, like, control the quality and source to the nth degree, which is insanity at the end of the day. But that's why when we're looking to do this new place, I was like, I don't have, it's much smaller, so I don't have the space to build a kitchen. I'm like, I don't really want to go to that level. Like, I need to temper the psychosis. Naomi says you should send him the pic of the uneven roasted beans and tell me. Maybe I will. Peter says, Obusa, good morning to you. Peter says there's an onocoffee in Malaysia worth going to. Oh, really? Like, is it called that? Busa says, I've been to that cafe and wasn't, I mean, it's like, I think it's one of those things where it depends what you're looking for. Like, I'll tell you, when I remember, we've touched on this before, where, like, you know, you're in an industry where you learn just a modicum of knowledge, and then you want to, like, wield that like a sword. And I remember when I was starting out in coffee, I was very much like that. I was very much like, and I remember I learned about the cortado, what a cortado should be, right? What is traditional cortado? And I would go to, like, places like Starbucks and have a cortado, and I would, like, bash on them because they didn't make the cortado in the traditional way. And I was like, and, you know, you're just kind of. So if I go to a place like that, like when I go to all these places that we go to, like, one thing I've come to learn, or come to accept, is that I try not to push my own vision of coffee on the places that I visit, right? Because they're going to have their own way of doing it. They're going to have a different style. They're going to have different needs. To me, like, here, like, you kind of, I didn't really show the people that were in there so much. You might have caught glimpses of them as we were walking through. I was kind of intentional because, you know, people get wigged out. I don't want. Actually, there was a couple young girls that were sitting in one of the tables, and they were kind of watching me, and I was like, and, you know, but I think they're young enough to know what's going on. They're like, oh, this guy must be live streaming. But anyway, so, like, you know, you're in a suburban market with suburban clientele whose expectations are going to be different. So you got to tailor it to it. Like, you know, I think it was Naomi that asked, you know, do they do the Jabena ceremony, the coffee ceremony? And, you know, they don't do that because, you know, probably most people wouldn't care in this market. And you kind of have to tailor things to meet the market that you're in. So, like I said, I don't go to shops really expecting too much, like, because if I'm not trying to see, if I walk into a place and I expect to have the most amazing coffee that I've ever had in my career, then more or less I'm going to be disappointed. But if I just go in with the attitude that, hey, I'm just here to experience what they have to offer, then I find it to be much more enjoyable. right? Because, and, you know, do I think this is the best roasted coffee in the world? No. I mean, it's got a little bit of, it's got that roastiness, that little bit of bitterness. Kind of works with this setup, but, you know, it's like, you know, they've got a clientele that I'm sure expects Starbucks level roasting. So they're not going quite to that level. And they're, you know, they're also offsetting this bitterness with the milk and sugar, right? So I wonder, in this locale, how many people actually drink their coffee black compared to those that would add cream and sugar. So I totally hear you. I totally hear you that it wasn't the greatest experience, but it was kind of nice. It was kind of, you know, pleasant enough. Busa says, try the Black Lion in Silver Spring when you get a chance. Oh, okay, maybe we get down there one time. Black Lion is Ethiopian cafe, but on a much better level. I think you're like, all right, excellent, excellent. So Peter says that it's called onocoffee. I wonder where they got the name. What does ono mean in that part of the world? It's Malaysia, you said, right? Yeah, I wonder what that means. Like I had a time when there was a place in the Philippines, Davao, and they called it Spro Coffee, and I was like super pissed off. I was like, what the? I chose a obscure name for a coffee place, Spro, and Spro is like super obscure, right? Like, what does that mean? I mean, it's actually a slang term from coffee professionals working in the early 2000s in specifically Seattle. And so here's this guy in the Philippines, Spro Coffee in Davao, and I was like, what the? I didn't say anything because I was like, well, you know, it's outside the country. I don't really, but I'm just like, and I'm trying not, I don't want to be like a dick about things, right? So I was like, okay. Eventually they ended up failing and they closed. And I remember I saw a notice that they're failing. So I sent them a message. I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I never messaged them before. And I sent the message and said, oh, you know, I'm sorry to hear that you didn't make it, that it didn't work out. The owner wrote back to me, he responded, and he was like, oh man, thank you so much. You know, we really like, you know, use you as an inspiration for what we do. And I was like, oh God, I'm such a dick, right? Like, I've been like hating on these people in silence, but from afar, right? I've been hating on these people for using the name, and they were like totally like homaging to what we're doing. And I was like, good Lord. What kind of stupidity? What kind of stupidity do I have, you know? So Ono is coffee and matcha specialist. I'm interested. Petra. Forgive me, Petra. Zupanchik, is that correct? How are you, man? Good to see you. Thank you very much. Busa says, I've pretty much taken your approach on cafe since I already know they will not be able to make as good as cups of. Yeah, and you know, and that is when you've been doing something for a while, like you have a level of proficiency, it becomes, I think it becomes an exercise in frustration for you as someone that has achieved a certain level of accomplishment within any pursuit, to expect everyone else to be at that same level. You're just setting yourself up for like disappointment. I had to learn that the hard way, you know. So yeah, I had to learn that the hard way. And everyone said, how'd you get the Ono name? So Ono, the word Ono is actually a Hawaiian term that means delicious in Hawaiian. And so if you lived in Hawaii, you know, that's part of the colloquial language, you know. Oh, it's like, oh, how was that? Oh, so Ono, bro, so Ono, right? So anything delicious is Ono. I think there's a different meaning in Japanese, but because I used to live in Hawaii, and Hawaii was a really big part of, like, a big time in my life, right? So it really changed a lot of my perspective and affected how I saw the world and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really big part of who I am. And so when I got into coffee, I was looking for, you know, I come from an era where you always had like handles and nicknames for online presences. And so I thought of Ono Coffee because, well, a delicious coffee, and I do coffee, so I should, like, you know, utilize that. So I've been using that name, Ono Coffee, for 22 years or something like that. Like, there's a blog. I even have my old blog is Ono Coffee, onocoffee.blogspot.com. If you want to see early of my rantings And actually, I think I think in the blog there's a lot of what I talk about with when it comes to like, you know, early onset. What would be the early onset pretentiousness? That's what we should call this whole like, you know, thing of being too confident when you learn just a modicum of information. Early onset pretentiousness. You can see, I think a lot of the articles, some of the articles that I wrote back then have a lot of that early onset pretentiousness, where I'm kind of like bashing on things. Booster says, "Oh, like the YouTuber, the real it's for me." I've seen his channel, but I don't really know much about him. Like, I don't know if if he comes from the professional ranks or if he's just an enthusiast. I do see he gets a lot of views. The truth of the matter is that I don't really watch a lot of coffee YouTube. Mainly because when I watch YouTube, I'm really more interested in other things, like production, like YouTube production, motion picture production, which is my old career. And then I watch a lot. Lately, I've been watching a lot of like woodworking videos. Like that's all that I watch now. It's like woodworking videos, and then I catch up on the podcasts that I listen to. And the podcasts that I listen to are mainly YouTube creator-related podcasts, because I'm always trying to think about how can we absorb more. That one says maybe maybe the Malaysian owner inspired by you also. That may be that may be. It's kind of weird because I remember one of my good friends in Hawaii. And he's a guy we've been really good friends since college, right? And Neil, and he was telling me years ago this is when we're not like, now I'm 20 plus years into the business. I was only like 5 or 7 years into the business at this point. Like, this is somewhere right around maybe 2010. He calls me, he's like, "Dude," I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Man, I was just in Bangkok. I just came from Bangkok." I was like, yeah. He's like, "Dude, I went to this coffee place, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I was having coffee. I was talking to the guy. The guy was like, 'Where are you from?' And he was like, 'I'm from Hawaii.' And he's like, 'Oh man, there's this guy in coffee that's from Hawaii originally. His name is Jake Harrigan." I was like, he was like, "What? What are you talking about? In Bangkok, Thailand, of all places?" I was like, I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "What?" So you know, and I at this point, if somehow my rantings and bloviating have influenced someone to call their place Ono because of me, I would not totally be surprised anymore, because I've bloviated a lot within the industry, a lot, like probably more than most people should have. Booster says, "Frustrated many times. I've been walking out of many shops. Lower your expectations." And yeah, I mean, or maybe just don't have too many expectations, right? I'm just here to enjoy, like what I like about this one. Like, so let's say okay, we talked about what I don't like, right? Like, it probably was cut a couple days ago. It's a little bit dry on the exterior walls. But what do I like about this? Look at the blueberry, right? There's so much blueberry right there. Like, that is like the heavenly blueberry. Like, this is when you see blueberry, this a blueberry. You want to see lots of blueberry in the thing. Not bad. Not bad. Bubba says that I love all the flavors in coffee. It's so difficult to roast coffee for people that just like a very specific coffee. I mean, and that's why, like, coffee shops or coffee roasters will have a variety of coffees available, because so many people have different tastes, that they can hopefully find some coffee that will meet the people's tastes. I mean, that's why we always had like a larger menu at Spro's, because we knew that not everyone's gonna like fruity naturals. Not everyone's gonna like clean washed coffees. Some people want funky, crazy coffees. And then, you have the real hardcore guys that would come in and they would try everything on the menu because they just wanted to get as much coffee exposure as possible. And so by having a larger menu of coffee And when I say a larger menu of coffee, I mean like different single origins, not just like, lattes, mochas, stuff like that. But we would have like a good menu of single origins, maybe like at least 7 daily, which in itself is a bit difficult to manage, but I think it's what makes it exciting and interesting. Naomi says, if I order a latte, don't serve me coffee that's going to curdle my oat milk. I don't know many times. Oh, yeah. I don't have much experience with oat milk because I refuse to sell it. But certainly with... So the bright, like with soy milk, we would have that problem. Like, and I guess soy milk drinkers are used to it because a lot of our soy drinkers would be like, oh yeah, no big deal. But when you had bright, higher acidic coffees, that would cause the soy milk to break. And I always like, God, that looks terrible. Like, I would usually try to remake it. But then if it was bright enough, it would break no matter what you did to it. So, yeah, I totally hear you. But sometimes I don't know. I don't know about oat. Like I said, I totally wouldn't. I refuse to serve it, and here's why. When we started thinking about oat milk many years ago, I was open to it. Right? I'm always open to trying new things. But like I said, I have this psychosis of like, ooh, we need to do it in house. Like we want to make it in house. We never made the soy milk in house. We brought that in, but when it came to oat milk, it was so novel that it was like, okay, let's make it in house. So I got, bought a bunch of different oats to try. Took the oats, and making oat milk is a relatively simple and straightforward deal. You take the oats, you soak them in water, and then you basically blend them and strain them to get all the, to suspend all the solubles or the solids. And then we would actually blend in a little bit of dates or something like that to give it a little bit of sweetness. Man, strain it all out or squeeze it all out in a cheesecloth or whatever, and it's delicious. Like, it's delicious. Like, I was like, this is delicious. I love it. I love it. I love it. Then we went to go steam it to put into like a cappuccino or a latte. The moment we hit it with the steam one, the whole thing went from oat milk to almost instantaneously becoming oatmeal. Like oatmeal that you get like in the bowl that you would eat. And no matter how much we tried to tweak the ratio, it would always solidify because it would hydrate the solids and then become, you're like, this is not going to work. So the reason that I don't do the oat milk is because I realized then, by doing that, I was realizing that the only way to make oat milk not become oatmeal when hitting it with steam is you really have to do heavy industrialization to the product. And I just didn't want to offer that. I'm like, I don't want to. We already have soy milk. That's already industrialized enough. Like, that's the only thing that's heavily industrialized that we offered. Well, more or less. And so I don't know. And of course, I'm telling this to a friend of mine a few years ago, or maybe a year ago. He's a vegetarian. And he only drinks oat milk. And he's like, he said something to me. He was like, he looked at me and he was like, I told him basically the same story. And he was like, look at all the stuff that you have. And this is where you draw the line. And I was like, all right, maybe, yeah, okay, maybe that was unreasonable then. So now we might go with industrial oat milk. But I'm just kind of like, I don't like the idea, but that's why we did it in the past. Busa says, speaking of George Howell coffee, you can get some beans and bread first. And bread first. That's Mark Furstenberg's place, right? Bakery in DC on Connection. Mark is an excellent baker. Like, he's awesome. I've met Mark once or twice over the years. Really, really great guy. Really great guy. I don't really know him that well, but Peter says, I think Ono is pronounced O and O. Those Malaysians, I don't know what they're thinking. Naomi asks, when you have your cafe again, do you think you'll offer up a bunch of different single origins again? Yes. Well, when we finally open this new place or get to doing this new place, it's going to be very different. Like it won't be like the old Spro. And like right now, the current thought is that we want to do a to-go window where it'll be just super streamlined. Like it won't even look anything like how we do it. Like really, I want it to be like for the working person to come get great coffee, get great pastry very quickly. So you kind of would be able to walk up, order from just a few items. We'd have them ready, boom, and you can go and like do and go about your day. Really turn and burn kind of place. Like not even espresso based drinks, like just coffee. Brewed coffee, maybe decaf coffee, iced coffee, maybe iced tea in the summer, and pastries, and then have a great day, enjoy your life. But the other side of it would be like we would have maybe sit down sessions where people could come in at certain times, where then the menu would be to order, much deeper, and hopefully more thought out than we've done in the past. That at least is the moment, the thinking at the moment. Peter says it's something of bringing two different products into one. Oh, okay. O and O. Oh, you know, I wonder if it has to do. Now my nomenclature, my terminology recollection is poor at the moment. But right, when you go to Malaysian kopitiams, you can order kopi O, kopi C, kopi O, kopi whatever. There's so many different kopis. I wonder if the O and O has to do with the kopi O. So maybe kopi O and kopi O, or kopi. I would guess that it's maybe something about that. I will have to look that place up and see. Naomi says that all plant milks react the same, even barista types. You need stabilizers for plant milks, or it will separate. Yeah, that's the part that I don't want to do. Is I don't want to put stabilizers. But I guess I'm over that. Booster says, I watched a video on how oat milk, almond milk is made for consumers. It scared me heavily. Yeah, that's the problem. That is to me why we never offered. Like, we would offer almond milk every blue moon. And we would do that by taking almonds, blanched almonds, peeled and blanched, soaking them in water overnight, blending them, mixing with a little bit of dates or maybe a little bit of agave or whatever we might have felt at the time. And we would do macadamia milk this way, but macadamia milk got to be wildly expensive. And then you could but the nice thing about the nut milks is that you can do that on a small scale. And you can steam it without it becoming. So I did like that. And I never experienced curdling or breaking or the texture breaking because of bright coffees. I don't know if it does happen, but I never experienced it. We also never had it a lot, so I can't say that I would be the definitive source on any of that kind of thing. Yeah, see, that was the outside piece. This has definitely been sitting around for a little bit. Naomi says everyone seems to use heavily sweetened soy milk. Yeah. It's very different. Well, when you buy industrial products, you don't really have the control over it. That's why we always wanted to make our own, because we would have better control over things like sweetness level or the composure of the product. I don't know. I don't have answers. All right, we're almost done. Not bad. So this is Sidamo coffee and tea here in Maple Lawn, which I think what is technically considered Laurel, Maryland. I'm just kind of stuck in this world of thinking everything's Columbia. Because I live farther away from here, so it's not like I know this area very well. There was another cafe that Deja, the barista, the manager at the Food Market's coffee place, was telling me that there's a place in Burtonsville, which is just a few more minutes down the road, that is that was also good. It has like a Spanish name. It's part of a Spanish, I think, Central American-owned restaurant group. Maybe we'll venture. And then Busa said there's another place around here. We'll go check those out in future videos. All right, not too bad, not too bad. Now that I've been sitting here idling, my gas is almost out, and I'm gonna have to go buy gas at some point. Centrado, that was it, that's right. And what did you think about Centrado? She said it was good. It looked interesting. I was thinking, oh, I wonder if we go there and like eat pupusas or have like Central American breakfast. Central American breakfast, if you're not familiar, is typically you get beans, not pinto beans. Is it pinto beans or the black beans? And then you get like eggs, a little bit of cotija cheese, the hard like white cheese, and it's fairly good. Where am I going? Lost here. I'm confused. I don't know where to go. I'm getting old and boomer-like, I guess. There's the decadent place that Naomi was talking about. Oh, there's no way to drive there, is there? Oh, there is. Okay, maybe we'll drive by there and see what it looks like. But you know what? I gotta be honest. You know, I've been I spent a lot of time in Central America, and you know, I've always been kind of shy to say this because my Central American friends would be very upset with me. But breakfast in Central America, if you're there for like 2-3 weeks at a time, I get a little bit tired of the breakfast. I'm like, how much of the same meal can I eat in 3 weeks? I'm like, oh my gosh, totally. Which is why I kind of like Mexico, right? Mexico, they've got so many, like their breakfast food is so varied. You're just like, oh, lots of breakfast foods. All right, here it is. Decadent coffee and dessert bar. Ooh, nitro chai. We may have to go check that out next time. So this is the maple lawn that I'm kind of familiar with, right? It's all kind of like fancy looking. And I think it was down here we went to the club, to the, it was Lib's Grill. We went to Lib's Grill, I think. Or no, Looney. We went to Looney's. We were here for like, I think line dancing. Line dancing? I don't know what we're here for. Like, girls want to go do things and you just kind of go along because, you know, that's what you do. You just follow the woman. Whatever they want to do, you're like, all right. Busa says it was so-so. Okay. I mean, Tucson says that I usually drink my coffee black, but I am drinking my coffee this morning. I am reading like that because I'm driving. I'm drinking my coffee this morning a little... Does that say clothespin? What? Clothespin on the a little clothespin on the aorta heavy cream. Oh, gotcha. Centrado does roast their own beans. Oh, okay. I mean, it could be one of those things too, like, right, where, you know, if they're relatively new to roasting, you know, they're gonna have some difficulties. I mean, because, you know, you have to learn somehow, right? You have to learn and improve, but you know, making the presumption that they're new and they want to learn and they want to do better and they're pursuing high quality coffee. Like if we make those presumptions, then it's not unusual that early on in a roaster's existence that it may not be as good as it will be, and hopefully that as they develop, it gets even better. Because there's so much to learn, right? There's so much to learn about coffee sourcing, how to select coffees, how to roast them, that it's very difficult to start off green and then be able to find great green and then make the green taste great, right? All right, so I should not be babbling while I'm driving on the freeway, so I'm going to head out now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that week. That was Sidamo Cafe here in Maple Lawn, Fulton, Maryland. Back again tomorrow with more of the coffee Q&A. I think tomorrow we talked about, the plan is right now we're going to do some decaf coffee. We talked about decaf the other day, and I was thinking, maybe we need to talk a little more about decaf and show you some examples of what we were talking about, how decaf is kind of damaged coffee. So that's our plan for tomorrow. Hope you have a wonderful day out there, or a nice evening for those of you who are on the other side of the planet. All right, so see you next time.